So now people would slowly join in the webinar now. Let's wait for a little bit and begin the session. Hi, everyone. Oh, I saw Midori in the audience. Okay, so let's start now. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are joining us from around the world. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the Nursing Now Challenge Western Pacific State of the World's Nursing Launch event. My name is Huang Chongbo, and I'm from Taiwan. I currently serve as one of the Challenges Committee Western Pacific Regional Hub leads, alongside Hazel from the Philippines and Darcy from Australia. Today's event is a part of a global initiative led by the Nursing Now Challenge to celebrate International Nurses Day and mark the official launch of the World Health Organization's State of the World's Nursing Report 2025. The Nursing Now Challenge exists to support and champion the personal and professional development of early career nurses and midwives. Today's event offers an important opportunity for learning, reflection, and connection, strengthening our shared capacity to advocate for the nursing profession, both regionally and globally. By the end of the day, we hope all participants will have a clear understanding of the SoWN report as a vital advocacy tool. We also hope you will gain insights into key challenges nurses are facing across the region and feel both equipped and inspired to take meaningful action. To begin with, I invite everyone to use the chat to introduce yourselves. Please let us know your name and where you're joining from. We'd love to see the diversity of voices and experiences represented across the region. As we move through today's session, please feel free to submit any questions for our speakers using the Q&A box. While we will have a dedicated Q&A segment towards the end of the event, you are most welcome to submit your questions at any time. This session is being recorded and will be made available on the Nursing Now Challenge YouTube channel for those who wish to revisit the discussion or share it with colleagues. If you require translation, simply click the captions icon and select your preferred language. And now it is my honor to introduce our speakers. We are deeply privileged to welcome Dr. Akimoto, Nursing Officer at the World Health Organization Regional Office for the Western Pacific. Dr. Akimoto will present the summary of key findings for the Western Pacific region, offering insights that will shape our reflections and discussions today. We are also grateful to be joined by our esteemed keynote speakers, Professor Cha from Ewha Women's University in South Korea, Dr. Saravenos from the University of Sydney, Professor Ramsey from the University of Technology Sydney and Director of the WHO Collaborating Center for Nursing, Midwifery and Health Development, Professor Leung from Hong Kong Polytechnic University and Director of the WHO Collaborating Center for Community Health Services, and our Professor Thoms from Queensland University of Technology, member of our Nursing Now Challenge Advisory Board. On this significant occasion, we gather to foster meaningful dialogue around how the report's findings and recommendations can inform and strengthen nursing leadership and workforce development across our diverse contexts. So now I think I'll hand it over to Darcy.
Yes, once again, happy International Nurses Day, everyone. We are going to start off with Midori, who is going to really give us a big overview of the State of the World Nursing Report. and really kick us off. So I will hand over to her. Aaron is going to share her slides. If not, Aaron, I can do that as well because I've got them.
I don't think Midori would be able to
Yeah, I can do
present
it.
in the audience.
Midori, if you're able to, in the chat, is there a link that you got to be a panelist as opposed to
Okay,
the nursing now?
I've opened. So Midori, could you share yours? Could you open your camera or
Hello, can you hear? I
yes?
cannot open my camera because maybe I'm joining by the link as the audience, I guess. I don't know. How can I do it? Anyways, we don't have so much time, so I can proceed my presentation now. Is it okay for you?
Okay, so I will share
Maybe
your.
I'll join again. Anyway, so please share my slide. So, hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Happy International Nursing Day. I'm Midori Anami Akimoto. I'm a nursing officer for Western Pacific Regional Office for the Western Pacific region. So I will briefly introduce key message from the State World Nursing Report 2025 report launched today with a focus on the relevance to our regions. I hope to share insights that highlight the significance of this report and what it means for the future of nursing in the Western Pacific. So then please next slide. The Western Pacific region is one of the 6 WHO regions and includes 37 member states and areas. For the report, State World Nursing Report, data was submitted by 27 countries within our region. It is home to nearly 1.9 billion people spanning from Mongolia to New Zealand and across seven time zones. This includes a diverse mix of high-income countries, small island, and low and middle-income context, each with distinct health system challenges and workforce dynamics. These differences make regional analysis both complex and critically important. Next slide, please. In the Western Pacific region, countries continue to address long-standing health priorities such as infectious diseases, maternal child health, and emergency preparedness. However, in recent years, several additional and increasingly complex challenges have emerged. These increase the rapid aging of our populations, a rising burden of non-communicable diseases, and widening health inequities. Furthermore, many countries faces critical shortage of health workforce, especially in rural, remote, and underserved communities, making it difficult to ensure equitable access to care. These trends place new demand on the health workforce and highlight the need for bold, forward-looking policy responses. Next slide, please. In the face of these complex and growing challenges, nurses are essential to the solution. As the largest health workforce group in our region, and sometimes the only point of contact for individual and families, especially in remote and underserved areas, they deliver culturally sensitive, community-focused care, expand access to primary health care and essential services, and addresses deep-rooted health inequities. Nurses also play a critical role in health promotion, disease prevention, and the management of chronic conditions. And in times of crisis, whether a natural disaster, pandemic, or climate-related emergency, they are on the front line, strengthening health system resilience and ensuring continuity of care. Simply put, without nurses, universal health coverage is not achievable. Next slide, please. The State of World Nursing 2025 report was launched today and offers the most up-to-date global picture of nursing workforce based on data from 197 countries. It reflects both global and regional trends and highlights critical issues in education, employment, leadership, regulation, and working conditions. Importantly, it includes country-specific profiles available through the National Health Workforce Account and HWA portal. These allow countries to examine their own data in the context of global findings and, combined with the report's policy recommendation, to support evidence-informed decision-making tailor-made to national priorities. Next slide, please. Now, let's take a closer look at the findings from the report. Since the 2020 report, the number of nurses has increased from 6.9 to 8.5 million. That's 28.5% of global total, and nurses make up more than half of the region's health workforce. This highlights the essential role nurses play in delivering care and maintaining health system functionality across a wide variety of settings. Women continue to make up the vast majority, 91% of nurses in the region. We are seeing fewer under 35 and more over 55. Oh, sorry, please, next slide, sorry. Yeah, thank you. And so we are seeing fewer under 35 and more over 55, indicating an aging workforce. This highlights the growing importance of young nurses. Your energy, ideas, and commitment are essential to shape the future of nursing in this region. Regarding the leadership, 93% of reporting countries in the region, 15 out of 16, have a government chief nursing officer position. It is important to note that only limited countries responded to this question. And beyond having the position, what truly matters is whether these CNOs are empowered to participate meaningfully in health policy and decision-making. Next slide, please. Let's look a bit deeper into the data. This chart showed the density of nursing personnel in the Western Pacific region, measured per 10,000 populations. The variation is striking, from just 5.8 nurses per 10,000 in Cambodia to over 127 in Japan. But it is important to remember, density alone does not tell the full story. Nurses' shortage cannot be judged by numbers alone. We must also consider how nurses are positioned and utilized within the health system, the type of health need in the population, and whether nurses are appropriately distributed and supported. These factors together determine whether communities truly have access to nursing care they need. Next slide, please. Despite of limited reported and likely represent the true scale, international migration is another important factor influencing the nursing workforce. In the Western Pacific region, 26% of nurses are foreign-born and 22% are foreign-trained, both above global average. It can place serious strain on source countries, especially small island and lower income states. These trends highlight the importance of ethical recruitment and stronger domestic workforce investment. Next slide, please. Training capacity varies widely across the regions. High-income countries like Australia, New Zealand, and Japan report high number of nurses graduate per population. In contrast, many low and middle-income countries produce far fewer graduates relative to population's needs. These gaps suggest the need to strengthen domestic education system, particularly where shortages are most acute. Next slide, please. Regulation and working conditions vary considerably across the region. While most countries report having minimum wage laws and regulatory autonomies in place, only 21% of standard for working hours and conditions. Less than 60% ensure continuing professional development, and advanced nursing laws are established in under half of the countries. These gaps highlight the need to strengthen not only the legal frameworks, but also the practical support that help nurses stay, grow, and lead in the workforce. Next slide, please. Nurses remain. I would like to summarize some of the report what I shared now today. Nurses remain central to achieve the goal of primary health care and universal health coverage. While the available data have limitations, careful interpretation grounded in each country's specific context can still offer valuable policy insight. The Western Pacific has a large nursing workforce, but distribution remains uneven. Many countries continue to face challenges such as shortage, maldistribution, and unregulated international migrations. The workforce is also aging, with fewer young nurses entering the field. At the same time, there are wide disparities in education capacity and the number of graduates produced. Working conditions remain inconsistent with limited support for continuing professional development and advanced role. While more countries now have chief nursing officer position, their actual influence on policy varies. Going forward, there is a clear need for evidence-based action. This means investing in education, improving work environment, and strengthening nursing leadership to meet future health needs. And as future leaders, student and early career nurses have a key role to play in advancing these actions, starting with your own learning, advocacy, and voice in your community and workplaces. Next slide, please. And to address these challenges, we've reviewed the Western Pacific Regional Framework process 5 strategic action for strengthening the health workforce. For nursing, this includes actions such as developing nursing strategies and expanding scope of practice, including education through update criteria and stronger quality assurance, and ensuring decent work conditions and fair pay to support retention. To move these priorities forward, strong nursing leadership across all levels is essential. Next slide, please. We also closely work with the WHO Collaborating Center. I believe they have some presentation today after my presentation, but there are currently 8 WHOCCs for nursing and midwifery in our regions. These institutes play an important role in advancing research, education, and leadership, helping to strengthen nursing and midwifery across the region. Next slide, please. Finally, we invite you to join the official global launch of the State of World Nursing 2025 report taking place tonight on International Nursing Day. The event will feature global panelists and a moderated discussion. You can register by scanning the QR code on the screen, or you can seek the WHO's website. Next slide, please. Thank you very much for your attention. Let's continue working together to strengthen nursing and midwifery in our region. The WHO Global Community of Practice is a network for nursing and midwifery around the world to share experience, learn from experts, and collaborate across borders. So It offers live discussion, thematic group, and space for connection and inspiration, driving by our shared goal of universal health coverage and health for all. So, yeah, please join us and share your perspective and help share the future of nursing together. You're warmly invited to join us and just scan the QR code to learn more. And thank you very much. Oh, again, thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Midori. That was so insightful. And as I think we can all appreciate, a lot to take in. This report is massive and has lots of key aspects and key messages. One that really stood out to me, and I might be a little bit biased as a student, an early career nurse myself, but really is that investment in student nurses and early career nurses, because they're really going to accelerate the generation of nurses to come, which is a nice little lead into our next segment. So we've got some early career nurses and some student nurses that I'm going to ask to introduce themselves and also point out something that's really relevant to them, what's important to them from, the quick overview they've had in the report or their experiences in the profession. And I think we can all appreciate this is going to vary greatly depending on the stage of their career they're at, where they're coming from, and we are united in purpose, but as our title says, diverse in practice, and the priorities across different countries is going to be so different because we all have very different healthcare systems. So I might start with Stefan, if he could first introduce himself, and then we will continue on from there.
Cool. Thank you very much, Darcy. My name is Stefan Smoleniak. I'm currently a third year at Sydney University studying nursing. And thank you for that great report there. And I think for myself personally, who has dreams and aspirations of becoming a nurse practitioner, it was very interesting to see, I guess, the differing, differing belief or outcome of advanced practice and the support that's there. So I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I'm excited with just the number of attendees here and being able to see the advanced practice that they've been able to reach. So it's very inspiring, and I look forward to hearing more.
Thank you. And Anuka is from Mongolia.
Yes, thank you very much for the report. It was incredibly interesting to get the updated numbers as well. I think we've all been waiting with anticipation to see how we have progressed and may have regressed in the last 5 years. Coming from Mongolia, as some of you might know, we are still about 40% nomadic country. So there are already really big rural-urban divides existing within Mongolia, and of course we see that within nursing as well. And I think in the last 5 years, as you can see from the regional report, it has widened, which of course has important implications for public health delivery. And I think in that sense, what resonated with me the most is the importance of regulation and the importance of political advocacy and advocacy. So we, as early career nurses, I think we play a really, really important role in that, into making sure that the political landscape keeps pace and we actually implement those evidence-based policies.
Thank you. And last but not least, Nadia.
Hello, everyone. So I'm from Brunei Darussalam. Yeah, thank you very much to Regional Officer Midori Akimoto for presenting that. I really do believe that with this report, it does not only benefit me, but also the other nurses nationally and globally as well. And I do really believe that with the report being launched today, it could be used by the policymakers and stakeholders to improve the perhaps stagnant, again, either regressing or progressing, as what mentioned by Anuka. I agree with that statement. I do believe that it is important to be an advocate to protect the rights and dignity, promoting safe work environment of these nurses, such as like protecting their mental health. And I do agree by the statement regarding protecting and supporting the nurses' education, especially in this age that, you know, every year you're going to receive more and more. The aging population within nurses, you know, progresses, and then you will receive more of these young nurses. And before that, that's why, like, before they enter the work field, it's also important to provide this strong foundation for these early career nurses or the nursing students, and providing essentially a supportive environment for their like work care in the future. Does that make sense? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really resonate with that. And that's the philosophy of nursing now, is really empowering and investing in nursing. And I think we all know and can all appreciate, when we invest in nursing, we invest in health and healthy communities. I'm going to move on to our next speaker, which is Dr. Gemma Savanos, who's going to be speaking about planetary health, which is a really, really key part of nursing. And I think, speaking for myself, is something that I was a bit uninformed about. And when you take a deep dive into it, you realize it is everything about planetary health, primary health care, our sustainable development goals. It's very interesting. So I'll hand over to Gemma.
Thank you very much, Darcy. Before I begin, I do have a couple of slides. I know I haven't got a lot of time, but thank you so much for the opportunity, and looking forward to talking about this topic, which I'm really passionate about, and I hope to inspire you a little bit as well. If you're not so informed, you should be. So hopefully this is a nice intro today, or something you already know a bit about. Before I start, though, I'll just check you can see my slides and you can hear me loud and clear. Excellent. Okay. So thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you today. My name is Dr. Gemma Savanos. I'm a registered nurse and I'm a lecturer at Susan Wakehill School of Nursing and Midwifery. I'm also a member of a wonderful group in Australia called the Planetary Health Collaborative for Nurses and Midwives, which has been a real joy to be involved in. I'm excited to join you on this very special day of International Nurses Day, and I would like to acknowledge that I'm joining from the traditional lands of the Darug people here in Sydney, Australia, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and thank them for their continuing care of country. So I'm talking to you today about planetary health and why this issue is central to our role as nurses, how we can respond regardless of our specialty, our setting or our career stage. The planetary health crisis is a human health crisis. In this space, we often talk about climate change. That is a change of climate, which is attributed either directly or indirectly to human activity. And it's arguably the most urgent crisis we're facing. If we fail to reduce human-driven greenhouse gas emissions to limit rising temperatures, we really face a future that is incompatible with health and even life. On the other hand, there's also the crises of pollution and biodiversity loss posing major threats to human health and well-being. And these are inextricably linked to climate change. So we really need to think about planetary health broadly to secure our future health and well-being. Rising temperatures, rising sea levels, increasing frequency and severity of weather events, worsening air quality are driving really big human health and wellbeing impacts, such as heat-related illness, exacerbation of chronic disease, particularly cardiorespiratory diseases, food insecurity, malnutrition, increased risk of vector-borne and waterborne infections and forced migration, and really importantly, poor mental health as well. So now let's consider our role as nursing professionals. As per our wonderful webinar title, we are united in our purpose. We provide care for all individuals and communities, and we promote health and prevent disease, working towards achieving a universal health coverage. But we're also diverse in our practice. Nurses are everywhere. We're in all settings, within and even beyond the health sector. We're highly trusted by the public, and we represent almost 60% of the global health workforce. Without a doubt, we need to respond to the planetary health crisis, and planetary health, as with human health, is really our business. This idea of planetary health and human health isn't a new concept. Traditional knowledge systems have long recognised that there is an interdependence between planetary health and human health, and we have a lot to learn from these traditional knowledge systems. Here in Australia, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have been caring for country since time immemorial. And even if we look to more recent times, to our contemporary nursing theories and frameworks, we find that the concept of environment is really highlighted as an essential component for health and for nursing care. Consider, for example, Florence Nightingale's environmental theory, which emphasised the importance of clean air and water, and even looking to the physical practice environment highlighted in the person-centred practice framework. We have the solutions to the planetary health crisis as beautifully illustrated here in the Sustainable Development Goals, which I know that you would all be very aware of, but we're not on track and we do need real action. The good news is that as nurses, we can absolutely participate, we can advocate, and we can lead in this space. We can respond to immediate climate-related health threats. And in fact, we're already doing this, even if we don't realise it. But it might look different depending on your specialty and your setting. We can respond to climate-related illness, disaster response, and also issues of equity and social justice, which are not... The impacts of climate change are not distributed equitably globally. So these include, of course, things like heat stress, malnutrition, infectious diseases, and responding to disasters caused by severe weather, such as floods and bushfires. We absolutely must mitigate climate change by urgently reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and this needs to happen in all systems, at all levels, and by all people. As nurses, we've got a really big role to play in ensuring that our health systems are sustainable. And another big part of this is actually health promotion and disease prevention to actually keep people healthy and well. We must also adapt to the threats of climate change through sustainable development, through innovation, through system strengthening, including health system strengthening, of course, where nurses have a really big role to play, as well as disaster preparedness, and really importantly, building community capability and capacity. And this is within our communities that we serve, within our nursing communities, and with our emerging nurses as well. Building that capacity to respond, to mitigate, and to adapt to the threats of climate change. This is my last slide, and I want to leave you with these key messages developed by the Climate and Health Alliance. And these are for nurses and other health professionals to use when talking about climate change. The first one is that climate change is bad for our health, and as health professionals, we're already seeing the impacts of this firsthand. Secondly, we need to act now to protect our health and the health of our patients and communities. And thirdly, taking action is an opportunity. It's a triple win and presents opportunities to benefit our health, as well as our economy and also the planet. Thank you very much for the time in having me talk with you today, and happy International Nurses Day.
Thank you so much, Gemma. We really appreciate it. And I think we can all agree that as nurses, we are the most geographically dispersed healthcare professionals, and we really have, like Gemma said, an opportunity to make quite a profound impact in this space. I'm going to move on to our next speaker now, which is Professor Chiyoung, who is going to do more of an interview style. So I've got some questions for her. I'm just getting them up now. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. Thank you.
All good? Okie dokie. So the report emphasizes that only 42% of countries have mental well-being provisions for nurses. Why is mental health support for nurses so critical?
Okay, before I talk, hello, my name is Chiyoung, and I'm a professor at the College of Nursing, Ewha Women's University at Seoul, Korea. I'm a registered nurse, and I serve as the chair of the International Affairs Committee at the Korean Nursing Association. And I would like to express my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to speak on this meaningful occasion, the International Nurses Day. And I chose the topic nurses' health because reading throughout the report, it made me think about how essential the nurses' health is on every content of this report. And to answer to the question in terms of mental health support of nurses, well, we all know that nurses work under a lot of stress every day, and they care for patients who are sick, in pain, or even dying. And on top of that, nurses often deal with heavy workloads, like work long hours and emotional situation. And recently, the global challenges such as pandemic, war in Ukraine and in other countries, and climate-related crises have increased these challenges to the nurses. And all of this can hurt nurses' mental health, leading to burnout, anxiety, and depression. And if the nurse don't get the mental health support they need, they may feel too tired or overwhelmed to continue working. And this makes the shortage of nurse even worse, and patients end up receiving low quality of care. That's why supporting nurses' mental well-being is essential, not just for the nurse themselves, but for the health of everyone the nurses take care of.
Yeah, and it's definitely that classic saying of we can't care for anyone else unless we look after ourselves. And I think, we
Right.
are a profession that's very busy and can become quite time poor, but it's really emphasizing the importance of that. My second question for you is that the report highlights disparities in the working conditions and safety measures for nurses. How did these factors influence nurses' health and well-being? So kind of a tag along from the last one.
Yes, so when nurses work in a poor condition, poor working environment, their health suffers, of course, and long working hours, limited staff members, low salary, and unsafe workplace make it hard for the nurses to stay healthy and be motivated to provide care. And in some cases, nurses even face physical violence or a lack of personal protective gears, which puts them at serious risk for infection. In low resource settings, these problems are much worse, and nurses are overworked and underpaid, leading to injuries and exhaustions. These bad conditions cause many nurses to leave their job or move to other countries for better opportunities, as you saw in the report. And to keep the nurses healthy and motivated, it is very important to improve their working conditions and protect their safety throughout clear policies and sufficient resources.
Thank you. So how does the global inequity in nurse distribution affect nurses' health, especially in low and middle income countries, particularly in the Western Pacific region? We're quite diverse in the health systems that exist in our region. I'm from Australia in Sydney. That's very lucky. It's a very well-resourced health setting and healthcare system. And even though we often say within the healthcare system that yes, it is unsustainable and it has its issues. When we compare it to younger healthcare systems, we're quite lucky. It's a luxury that I think sometimes we don't often appreciate. So if you could articulate that for us.
Well, in many low and middle countries, in low resource country in Asia region, there are not enough nurses to care for the growing population. And this means that few available nurses have to take care of too many patients and families and be in charge of the healthcare. And they work longer hours without enough support, which leads to stress, fatigue, and health problems. And at the same time, in high-income countries hire nurses from these regions, which makes the shortage even worse. And the remaining nurses face even more pressure. To protect nurses' health, we need to make sure every region have enough nurses, so workloads are fair and support systems are in place.
Yeah, definitely. And it's some really insightful discussions here. Your next question is around the gender pay gap. Now, gender, obviously, you know, it's especially where I am in New South Wales, it's a big topic of conversation at the moment, and the nursing profession is female dominated. The report mentions a gender pay gap of 7% among nurses. How does this gender inequality, how is this linked to the health and well-being of nurses?
Well, most nurses are women, and their work is often undervalued. Many nurses are paid less than they deserve, and even compared to other healthcare professions. This unfair treatment adds emotional stress and make nurses feel unappreciated. When nurses are not paid fairly, it affects their motivations, mental health, and their decision to stay in the profession of nursing. So gender inequality creates constant pressure in nursing profession, which can harm their emotion and physical well-being. So fair pay and respect are important not only for the gender equality, but also for nurses' overall health and job satisfaction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've noticed you've put down here in some of your questions that health is not just a HR issue, but it is a public health priority. From a global perspective, why is investing in nurses and the nursing profession so essential?
Well, nurses are the heart of the healthcare system, and if nurses are healthy, patients get better care, of course. But if nurses are exhausted, the quality and the safety of the care will drop immediately. So this affects not just individual patient, but the entire health system. So investing in nurses' health means that investing in patient safety, community health, and stronger health care services. And it can also support larger goals such as universal healthcare health coverage. So this is why protecting nurses' health is not just a human resource issue, it's a public health priority.
Yes, thank you so much. It's definitely, look, today, as I said when we started, today's session is jam-packed and it's giving us a lot of food for thought. And I think we're all going to go home and continue to think and challenge our thinking. But that's what this day is all about, because knowledge really is power. I'm going to move on to our next speakers. We've got Professor Michelle Rumsey and Professor Angela Leong. So starting off with Michelle, who is the director of the WHO Collaborating Centre for Nursing and Midwifery and Health Development and is based at the University of Technology, Sydney. So just down the road from me. Michelle, if your technology's all good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all good.
I'm Angela. I couldn't get into the link, so Angela kindly shared hers. Hence the reason there's two Angelas on screen today. My name's Michelle Rumsey, and as you say, I'm at UTS down the road, and this is a great honour for me. I was part of the steering committee for the State of the World's Nursing Report, so to get to today is enormous, and you cannot imagine how many WHO colleagues and global colleagues have been working on this really, really fabulous report. It's the second one we've ever had. The midwives have had 11 and we've had 2. So at the World Health Assembly soon, we're really hoping that the next strategic directions for nursing and midwifery, the one that we have now from 2021 to 2025, will be extended, because I think what we now need to do is work out our actions around all this data. And although you may not be aware, every single country now has what we call a National Health Workforce Accounts platform at WHO. Sounds a little boring, but you can at any time go in and see what your country's data is at any time. And so when we're looking at the data that's coming out now at the moment, because we as a WHO Collaborating Centre work in the Pacific with our Pacific colleagues, that's a very, very, very diverse region. So we've got countries like Papua New Guinea, which has got 10 million, and Tuvalu, which has got 10,000. We've got countries with 110 islands like Fiji, and countries with 2 or 3 like Samoa. So when you're looking at the context of this data, we've got to really drill down and make sure it's relevant for the context of each country. And so I think you as young, beautiful, new career nurses working forward into the future is going to be really important to work with your associations, your stakeholders, your regulators, your chief nurses. We only currently have 27 chief nurses out of the 37 countries in WIPRO. So we need to continue to support our leaders in country to be able to move forward with some of these things. I know I've only got a few minutes, so I will share our collaborating centre link afterwards. We have many resources on there, and I am really pleased that the Nursing Now Challenge are sharing the global network for collaborating centres. There's 44 of us globally. On your Engage, Empower, Act platform, there's a document called a Links magazine, which has so many resources. It's phenomenal. And the final thing I just wanted to say when we look at data, in the Pacific, historically, 74% of our regulated health workers were nurses. That has gone up in the Pacific to 79%. And if we add midwives, that means we've got 86% of the workforce in the region. So you can imagine it's really, really important that we support our nurses in the region. Otherwise, healthcare won't be carried out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. Yes, we just haven't got enough time in the day because I think we could all talk for hours and hours and hours about this massive report that has so many different layers, different perspectives that I'm sure and I hope that it informs research and policy for the years to come. Jumping over to Professor Angela Leung, who's the Director and Associate Head of Research for the School of Nursing, WHO Collaborating Centre for Community Health Services in Hong Kong Polytech University in China. So if your technology is all good, we've been very lucky this webinar. No
Thank you,
disasters.
Darcy. Thank you very much. And I'd just like to share 3-4 slides so that while we can talk in, we can have a look at that. So my great honor to share some of the interesting figures that we have here in Hong Kong. I hope that you can see my slide. When I was invited, I was just get to know that this report, the SoWN report, is very, very important to all the nurses. But I just took a snapshot here that nursing shortage is one of the very important area that we should look at. And we can see the challenges over there, but I can also see the opportunities here. So let me show you some of the figures that I have in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is an economic region, but although we are very small, but we are very energetic in a way that we are doing something quite good in some sense that I think it can be some of the examples for us to consider. So on the left-hand side, you can see the number of registered nurses that we have in Hong Kong. Hong Kong has a small population, 7.4 million people, but we have about 64,000 nurses at the moment. I could see that as over the last 10 years, we have been increasing the number of registered nurses trained for the healthcare system, which is a very good sign. Compared to the other countries, you can see on the right-hand side, the blue bar, which is representing the nurses. Hong Kong has about 8.7 nurses per 1,000 people in 2021, which is quite comparable to Taiwan, South Korea, Singapore, OECD, and Japan has a little bit higher than us. But you can see that this number may not be good enough because we have quite a high number of attrition in Hong Kong because of all the political issues as well as the change of the pattern due to COVID. If you look at the blue line again, which is representing nursing, in 2020, the attrition rate of nurses is 5.8%, but up to 2022, 2023, the blue line has been double to 11%. So the attrition rate is so high that actually the hospital authority, which is the main public service unit providing hospital services to all the population, actually found that nurses has been not given good enough. So they started to extend our roles in different settings. I just list out here some of the examples of the roles that nurses have been extended to. For example, in the outpatient clinic, we actually have a model called integrated model. We try to set up nurse clinics. From 2018, 2019, we set up 24 nurse clinics only with four specialties. But by then, recently, it's up to 115 nurse clinics and 17 specialties already. So you can see that is quite a number of folds for the nurse clinic set up in the region. When we talk about primary care settings, we set up the district health centers. In these district health centers, nurses are the care coordinators coordinating all sorts of health risk assessment for all the members. The members are the citizens in Hong Kong. So we provide personalized and humanized health management plans for our citizens. We also give health professional advice with other disciplines as well in a collaborative manner. So this is the way that how nurses are working with other disciplines. So to build up our capacity, the government primary care healthcare office actually collaborates with the Hong Kong Academy of Nursing, offer training courses for nurses to build up their capacity. The post-registration certificate courses, we call PRCC courses, focusing on the primary care nursing. And I am teaching one of the modules here as well. So there are lots of strategies to keep our nurses. I just list out some of the strategies that I can easily find in the websites in our region. For example, nowadays we changed the 7-day work to 5-day work in some of the private hospitals, which they like it. And we provide mortgage for nurses to buy their own home in a low interest rate. We also offer preceptorship so that the young generation can follow the senior nurses to like a shadowship, so as to learn about all the leadership and management skills. And we also we hire the retired senior nurses so as to fill up the gap of the nursing shortage. And recently we also set up a new rank called associate nursing consultant. That is the rank below the nursing consultant, but above the registered nurses. This is a very good opportunity for nurses to build up our leadership. And lastly is the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area healthcare talents visiting programs that allows nurses in the region, in the Greater Bay Area, that we can come over to Hong Kong, or Hong Kong nurses can go to other places to learn from each other. This kind of visiting programs is actually a way to exchange our skills and capacity. So that's what I prepare. I hope that through this kind of sharing, we are able to look at some of the opportunities that nurses can have, even though we are in quite a shortage. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Angela. We are getting to the pointy end of our time, so I'm going to hand over to Debra Thoms, who's the Nursing Now Challenge Advisory Board member, and she is going to give us some closing remarks. And then after that, we are going to try and tackle as many questions in the chat as possible. But as I said, it has been a pretty jam-packed session, so we'll see how much we can get through. But I'm going to hand over to Debra now.
Thanks, Darcy. It's been a really interesting afternoon, and I'd like to thank you for inviting my attendance and for everyone joining in, and for the richness of some of the discussion, both on screen and in the chat. I think that, you know, the release of this report is really, really important. The first one was a landmark, and then, of course, we had that little matter called COVID, which completely, in many ways, changed our world. So it's been really important to get this updated report this year. I think that some of the points that have been made today that are really important for us all to understand is that there's really valuable data in the report. So the first thing to do is to read it. And of course, to look at the various country profiles, but also share it with our colleagues and encourage others to actually delve into this document and to utilise the really helpful information that's in there. I think that it shows us a whole lot of information about nursing globally, but also about nursing more locally for each of us in our various regions and in our various countries. And we have different challenges across. I think the diversity of Wipro in particular is highlighted. And while there are some common things around workforce conditions and how do we get those improved, and this may mean that we have to form coalitions with other people. Your advocacy work, I saw in the chat someone expressed, and I think it's very true, some of this work takes a long time. You have to keep at it. But if you can find others that you can gather support and work together with, other organisations, I'm looking for any allies that you can get in order to help support policy change and to take action. I think that working with your country chief nurses to help them, because getting change at government level is not always easy and it does take time and energy and effort. And I think that one of the things is great to see a number of early career nurses, because you guys are our leaders for the future. And I think as we understand that leadership is not just something undertaken by those in senior roles. It can be undertaken at every level of the health system. And if you can make small changes just in your own workplace, be it around planetary health, be it around workforce conditions, that is a positive. And all those little positive changes go to make the whole better for everyone. So I think this is a really valuable and important report, and coupled with work like that's being done through the Nursing Now Challenge, but also the work of ICN, we've got some really good tools and information out there to help us going forward. So congratulations. I know that we need to get on to Q&A, so I will finish. Thank you for having me, and all the best.
Thank you so much, Debra, and a big thank you to everyone for joining us and all of our speakers. We do appreciate you taking the time out of what I know is a very busy time of year for nurses and nursing. I'm going to hand over to Hazel, who's going to moderate our Q&A session. As I said, I'm not sure that we'll get through all the questions, but we will pick out a few.
So good morning again, everyone. Across continents and communities, nurses continue to grapple with various challenges using different tools and techniques and speak the different languages of care. And in spite of the differences, our heartbeat is one, to advance the health and improve the systems. So this is our story, united in purpose, diverse in practice. We have just a few questions from our chat box. One is for Professor Chiyoung. And it says here that in response to the report, currently nurses make 51% of the workforce, but opportunities for advanced career progression was fairly mixed. Feeling that there is a lack of progression opportunities would have a negative effect on the mental well-being. What do you think needs to be done in order to secure more advanced care positions to help fill the gap between population needs and healthcare capacity?
Well, I totally agree that nurses have limited opportunity to proceed their career. And I think having investing in leadership roles for nurses to influence health policy is very important, because nurses understand the real challenges in patient care. And if the nurse have the advantage of getting their career path developed, it could benefit the patient care.
Thank you, Professor Shah. And just one final question, and this is for Dr. Angela Liu. The amount of progress you have made in Hong Kong is incredible. She wanted to ask you about the increase in funding and whether these changes have accompanied big policy shifts. What do you think led to this prioritization of nursing?
Thank you for the questions, Anaka. Yes, I think the big picture here in Hong Kong is that the government quite value nurses. They know that without nurses, the whole healthcare system will sort of dying down. So that's why a lot of strategy has been set up to retain nurses as much as possible, and even drawing nurses from across the border to come over to work in Hong Kong. So they are quite active to recruit nurses so as to fill all those gaps. And the second question is about the prioritizations of nurses. I would say, I think the upcoming trend would be community nursing. So nurses are not only working in the hospitals, acute settings, but also in the long-term care settings. And many of these long-term care services are basically related to the community. Primary care is also another big trend that nurses have to prepare for. So that's why I think we do need to learn about more than just nursing skills, but also financial management, case management, these kind of things that can help nurses to work independently in the community as a case manager.
Thank you once again, Dr. Chiyoung and Dr. Angela Leong. We have come to the end of our session, so I'll be passing the baton back to Darcy.
Yes, once again, thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in this afternoon. It has been a fabulous evening, and I do look forward to more events in the future where we can have these challenging discussions that really accelerate our profession. Just a little reminder, because I'm sure we can't wait to rewatch the recording. It will be available on YouTube shortly. But again, thank you so much, and a big happy International Nurses Day to you all. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Happy
Thank you,
Nurses
everyone.
Day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.